Town of Prescott Valley Special Town Council meeting, November 23rd, 2020. Call to order. Or, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hunt.
Present.
Councilmember Packard.
Present.
Councilmember Schumacher.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman.
Still here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nye.
Present.
Mayor Palguda.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to item 3A, Town General Election, November 3rd, 2020. Canvass the vote. Clerk.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Thank you for meeting on an unusual day of the week. I just figured since we didn't have a council meeting Thursday, why not call a special meeting today, right? All right, so basically the purpose of this this council meeting is to canvass the election results. And the election cycle was a process that started back in January, or actually last year, when candidates pulled packets all the way to our primary and then our general election. So as usual, I like to start with some numbers for you. I took the numbers from the last general election in 2016 and compared them to our general election in 2020 so that we have apples with apples. The first number that you see here is the active registered voters. And as you see, we had 6,000 more registered voters from 2016 to 2020 per the Yavapai County records. Out of those 30,514 active registered voters, it looks like only 26,379 participated. That's how many ballots the county received. And from those 26,379 ballots, 21,109 were mailed-in ballots. I can tell you that our ballot drop box was very popular for having received lots of dropped-off ballots. That still says that the rest of the about 5,000 voters did visit a polling place. Oh. All right, so then for this election, we only had 582 rejected ballots. That's less than 50% from whatever we had back in 2016. That's a pretty good number. And ballots are rejected for various reasons. The top two reasons for this election, one was about 373 voters were not registered or not eligible to vote. That's why some of those ballots were rejected. And the top two reason was 68 ballots, their signature didn't match. For all the early ballots that were mailed, the signature didn't match. Overall, we had an 86.45% participation. I mean, it's not 100%, but 86 is still pretty good, and it's 2% more than whatever we had back in 2016. So now, you all know that this runoff election, we needed to fill in 2 council vacancies, and we had our 4 runner-ups for this election, and we don't have to use any majority vote formulas in this runoff election. We just take the top 2 highest vote getters, in which you can see that Brenda and Roger that are in the audience received the majority of votes, so they are deemed elected by the citizens of Prescott Valley. And that pretty much concludes the election cycle. I do want to present to you all the 4 council members that were elected in this election. They will have a 4-year term starting 2020 to 2024. Their first meeting will be December 10. I do want to congratulate everybody else also that participated in this election, all the time spent and their interest for running for council, and that's it for elections. I'm glad we're over with the election cycle now, and we won't have to do this again until 2 years from now when we have to elect or re-elect the mayor and 2 council members. Do you have any questions?
Anything for Fatima? You're done, ma'am.
Thank you.
Item 3B, approve Arizona Attorney General MOU opioid litigation. Is this you, Ivan?
See,
We have to make a motion.
we have to adopt the
Oh, I'm
resolution.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve, is that in here? Sorry, maybe I shouldn't just. Recommend authorize the mayor to sign Resolution 2167 authorizing the 2020 election.
Clerk, please call the roll by, I'm not plugged in, so. Call the vote, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Yes.
And that passes, Mayor Pagura?
Yes,
That passes unanimously.
thank you, ma'am. For some reason, I thought we were at a work study. And
It
here
seems
we are.
like it, doesn't it?
We get such a huge audience, I just threw me off. All right, now we're up to 3B.
Okay,
Legler,
this
is
is the
this you
Attorney
now?
General agreement. We wanted to bring this to you because the Attorney General's office sent us a proposed MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, to sign, and asked us to do it by the 15th of December. And our next regular meeting was going to be December 12th, and I didn't want to wait that long, get that close to the deadline, so I thought I'd bring it to you now. The news has been all about states and large cities suing the opioid companies, the pharmaceutical companies, for billions of dollars based on the argument that those companies encouraged people to misuse opioids, and that has caused state and local governments all kinds of costs in terms of enforcement, issues related to hospitalization, family problems, all of the things going on with the opioid crisis that we have in the United States. And so many states have sued the pharmaceutical companies, and some of the communities in the various states have sued. Even in Arizona, some of the larger communities have sued. What happened, these lawsuits are just all over the place, and the big pharmaceutical companies have said, okay, we want to reach a deal so that we can get rid of this litigation, and we're willing to settle for billions of dollars. But we want all of the states, basically, and all of the municipalities inside those states to participate, even if you didn't sue us. We want you to participate. And we want you to come up with a formula where we can make a payment and then we're done, we're out of this. And so the state of Arizona has sat down with the various counties, the 15 counties, and the 15 counties in the state came up with a settlement approach. And they have now sent a letter to all of the municipalities and said, okay, this is what we've agreed on. We'd really like you to sign this. And there's a reason why. The more communities we get to sign, the more the pharmaceutical companies will pay us. If we can get 100% of all the communities, they'll pay us a premium, and then you'll get more money. So obviously the town of Prescott Valley did not participate in any kind of litigation. To a certain extent, this is free money. So we are inclined to recommend to you that we go ahead and sign this and send it back to the Attorney General, and that you authorize the mayor to sign it on the town's behalf.
Questions for Mr. Legler? Go ahead, Councilwoman.
So, Ivan, on page 2 of the Attorney General's report, it says, it refers to 1 Arizona Plans Exhibit A to say how the funds can be spent, but I couldn't find that in the packet.
You didn't see it in the back? It's in the back of the agreement.
Okay.
There's the percentage, and I have that in your staff report.
Okay.
I've got the amount for the county and then the percentage that we get from the county's amount. And Yavapai doesn't have a huge amount. I think it only has 4-point-something%. And then I think we get 8% of their 4%. But again, it's free money. So
I guess my question is, how can the money be used? Because this says that in that Exhibit A, it says how it can be spent, but I couldn't find it. So can you tell me that answer?
My understanding is that we are free to spend it as we see fit. There are some states that have some limitations on it. My understanding is that Arizona is not doing it that way.
So this says, from page 2 of his letter, says the only requirements are that the funds be spent in accordance with the approved purposes detailed in the 1 Arizona Plans Exhibit A.
Okay, I
But I
apologize.
but I couldn't find that.
It's in there. I believe it would have to do with law enforcement, things like that.
Good. Okay. And we don't know how the counties, are they going to do per capita? Have we contacted them?
That's a good question. It says that the counties get to decide how to do it, but there's a default approach, and that percentage that you see there is the default.
I didn't
And
like
I don't know of any other decision that the counties made.
I didn't like the default, though, because we're like almost half of what Prescott gets.
Prescott gets.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that because they were involved in the lawsuit?
No, I believe that's because the formula, it's a complicated formula about expenditures, what you spend money for. And so we were getting a percentage based on the kinds of things we would spend money for related to opioid issues.
Gotcha.
So hopefully the county will decide to do it per capita, because they have that right to do that, it
They
sounds
could
like.
change the
Perfect, thank you.
approach. Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Vice Mayor,
You ready for a motion?
go for it.
Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding proposed by Arizona Attorney General for opioid litigation by electronic and voice vote.
I'll second.
Clerk, call the vote.
Mayor Palguda,
Yes,
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes,
that passes unanimously.
thank you, ma'am. Mr. Legler, I believe you're up on 3C.
3C. And that has to do with the recreational marijuana. We just wanted to let you know that we're not asleep at the switch. We are concerned about what we're going to do with our town code in terms of responding to the adoption of Prop 207. Some communities, including our neighboring community, have already adopted some changes in their codes. One of the reasons we're not doing that is that the majority of communities out there believe we've got some time still until about April of next year, rather than having to rush and do it right now. There were a few folks that were concerned that to do what they wanted to do, they had to adopt something before the governor declares the adoption of Prop 207 by the end of November. But the majority of communities didn't see it that way. Most of them thought we could wait until the regulations were adopted in April, or even until licenses are issued by ADHS. We're not going to wait. We'll start working on it immediately, but we didn't feel like we had to do anything before the end of November. And in fact, we couldn't because as a general law community, we can't adopt zoning regulations by emergency. And we would have had to have done something as an emergency measure. Prescott did adopt theirs as an emergency. They obviously either weren't doing it as a zoning issue, or they felt that their charter allowed them to adopt the zoning provisions as an emergency. We're a general law city, and we don't have that option. But we have been looking at it. There are a lot of different groups out there that are working together. The League of Cities and Towns, of course, is heavily into this already, working with the city attorneys and town attorneys out there. The police chiefs are all working together. The HR people, we just saw something today that was designed to help us understand how, as an employer, we'll need to respond to the issue of recreational marijuana. All of the answers aren't quite there yet, but there are a lot of good ideas, and I think we'll be right in the mainstream when we finally do adopt something.
Sounds good. Vice Mayor?
I just wanted to share a piece of information and echo some of the things Ivan said. Last week, I was on a Zoom meeting with educators, physicians, police officers, community members, and they are ready. I am so proud of our community here. They've already formed partnerships. We already have some ideas and plans. And I was especially excited that the educators were there because they're especially alarmed what's going to happen, on school campuses now. So the good news of the whole point of what I'm saying, we're there. We're working on it.
Mayor?
Councilman?
Yeah. I think one of the things that we have at our control is to control the number of marijuana stores that are in our community, I believe. So, I'm sure that that's going to come up in your discussions, but I think that's the easiest way to control some of it anyway.
Absolutely. There are some limitations on the number per county. The big issue out there is what they call dual licensing. And we already have a medical marijuana facility in our community, and one of the reasons we were actually happy about that because otherwise we were going to have people growing their own. And so the fact that it was all going to be kind of located in one place was a good idea. Now, of course, people are again going to be able to grow their own, but there, we believe, are going to be some. It's likely that most new recreational facilities are going to be the same folks that are doing the medical marijuana. And one of the things that the law says is that we can't treat the recreational marijuana applicants any different than we did the medical marijuana applicants. And so we're hoping that the way this will work out is eventually they'll end up being the same facilities in the same locations. And at least that won't have the big impact that some folks are worried about.
I think, Ivan, one of the things we definitely need to be aware of is whether you voted for this or you didn't vote for it, it's the voters chose to pass this. And we have to treat it that way and still not shun it away from our town. It's still, the voters still voted for this. Much like I'm sure back during Prohibition, there was those that were for alcohol and those that were against. And I just think we got to be careful on the fine line that we walk in regards to what if Circle K passes a policy that says, hey, you know what, we're going to start selling this product just like we sell alcohol. And whether it's regulated by the county or by the state or not, I think it's something that we need to be aware of and not set us up for litigation in the future.
We'll be careful to avoid litigation on both sides.
So, with that being said, we don't need anything further with this. I do need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Clerk, call the vote.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Mayor Pagoda,
Yes.
that passes unanimously.
Thanks. Have a great night.